I never thought I'd hear those words. Not from her. Not from the woman who taught me how to bake apple pie, who braided my hair every Sunday morning, who smiled through every family gathering like she was made of pure light. But there I was, standing in that sterile hospital room, watching her chest rise and fall in shallow breaths, when she looked at me with those cloudy blue eyes and whispered, "It wasn't an accident." My phone had rung at 3 in the morning. You know that feeling, right? When your phone screams in the darkness and your heart drops before you even answer? The nurse's voice was gentle but urgent. "Mrs. Patterson, you need to come now. Your grandmother is asking for you." I threw on whatever clothes I could find, didn't even brush my teeth, and drove through empty streets with my hands shaking on the wheel. I'm 62 years old. I've buried friends, survived cancer, raised 3 kids on my own after my divorce. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared me for what was about to happen. Grandma Dorothy had always been the cornerstone of our family. 94 years old, sharp as a tack until the stroke hit her 2 weeks ago. Everyone called her Saint Dorothy. Seriously. At her church, at the senior center, even the mailman called her that. She volunteered at soup kitchens into her 80s. She never missed a birthday, never forgot an anniversary. And she'd been a widow for 50 years, faithfully keeping my grandfather's memory alive like he was some kind of hero who'd been taken too soon. The accident. That's what we'd always called it. Grandpa Robert died in a car crash in 1973. I was 12 years old. I remember my mother's screams when the police came to the door. I remember the funeral, the black dresses, the casseroles that kept appearing on our doorstep. I remember Grandma Dorothy standing at the grave, dry-eyed and dignified, holding my mother's hand. She never remarried. Never even dated. "Your grandfather was my only love," she'd say with that soft smile. "When you find the one, you know." We all believed it. God, we worshipped that story. When I pushed through the hospital room door that night, she looked so small. They'd turned off most of the lights, just one lamp glowing in the corner. The machines beeped steadily, counting down the moments she had left. My Aunt Linda was supposed to be there, but she'd gone to get coffee. It was just me and Grandma. Her hand felt like paper when I took it. "I'm here, Grandma," I whispered. "I'm right here." Her eyes opened slowly. For a moment, I thought maybe she didn't recognize me. The stroke had done damage. But then she squeezed my hand with surprising strength and said, "Margaret. My sweet Margaret. I need to tell you something before I go." Her voice cracked. "I need to tell you about your grandfather." I nodded, expecting some sweet memory. Maybe a message she wanted me to pass on to Mom. "It's okay, Grandma. Take your time." That's when she said it. "It wasn't an accident, Margaret." She paused, gasping a little. "The car crash. I did it. I killed him." The room tilted. I swear to God, the floor actually moved under my feet. I must have made some sound because she squeezed my hand tighter. "Please," she breathed. "Let me explain. I've carried this for 50 years. I can't die with it still inside me." My throat was so dry I couldn't speak. I just stared at her, this tiny old woman who'd read me bedtime stories and taught me how to pray. A murderer? No. Impossible. This had to be the stroke talking. Confusion. Delusion. "Grandma, you're not thinking clearly." "The medication. I'm perfectly clear." Her voice was stronger now, almost fierce. "I sabotaged his car. The brakes. I knew what I was doing." A tear slid down her wrinkled cheek. "And I'd do it again." Have you ever had a moment where your entire reality just shatters? Where everything you thought you knew dissolves like sugar in hot water? That was me. Standing there, holding the hand of a woman I thought I knew, realizing I'd never known her at all. I wanted to run. I wanted to scream for a nurse, for my mother, for anyone. But her eyes held me there, pleading. Why? I finally managed to whisper. Why would you do that? She closed her eyes. For a second, I thought I'd lost her. Then she started talking, and I realized I was about to lose something much bigger than my grandmother. I was about to lose my entire childhood. Your grandfather, she began, her voice taking on a strange, distant quality, was not the man everyone thought he was. The machines kept beeping. Somewhere down the hall, someone laughed. Normal life was happening all around us while my world imploded. What do you mean? I asked, even though part of me didn't want to know. He hurt me, Margaret. The words came out flat, matter of fact. For years. He'd come home from work angry. Sometimes drunk. Sometimes just mean. He'd hit me where the bruises wouldn't show. I got very good at wearing long sleeves in summer. She opened her eyes again, looking right at me. But I could handle that. I'd made vows. For better or worse, right? I thought that's what love meant. Enduring. My stomach turned. I thought of all the photos we had of them. Grandpa with his arm around her waist, both of them smiling. Were those smiles fake? Was everything fake? Then your mother came along, Grandma continued. I thought maybe a baby would change him. Make him gentler. She laughed, but it was the saddest sound I'd ever heard. It made him worse. He resented her. Resented me for getting pregnant. When your mother was 3, I saw him raise his hand to her. Just once. She'd spilled juice on his newspaper, and he drew back his arm. Grandma's breathing got faster, more labored. I stepped between them. Took the hit instead. But I knew. I knew it wouldn't be the last time. I felt sick. Actually nauseous. My mother. Sweet, gentle mom who always spoke about her father like he'd hung the moon. Did she know? Did Mom ever find out? I asked. No. Grandma shook her head slightly. She was too young to remember the bad parts. And after he died, I made sure she only remembered the good things. The times he played with her. The rare moments when he was sober and kind. Another tear fell. I let everyone build him into a saint because the alternative was destroying her memories. What kind of mother tells her daughter that her father was a monster? My mind was racing. All those years. All those stories about Grandpa Robert, the war hero, the hard worker, the devoted husband. Lies. Every single one. So you killed him, I said, and God, hearing those words come out of my mouth made it real in a way I still wasn't ready for. I saved us, she corrected, and there was steel in her voice now. He came home one night, drunker than I'd ever seen him. He told me he was going to teach your mother a lesson. She was 6 years old, Margaret. 6. And he had that look in his eyes. The one that meant he was beyond reasoning with. Grandma's hand trembled in mine. He passed out on the couch. I put your mother to bed, and then I went to the garage. I'd been reading. Learning. The library had books on car mechanics. I knew what to do. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't process this. You planned it. 4 months. She didn't even hesitate. I waited for the right time. When he'd be alone in the car. When it would look like an accident. I cut the brake lines just enough. Made it look like wear and tear. The next morning, he drove to work like always. She paused. He never made it. Lost control on that hill near the factory. Went right through the guardrail. The hill. I knew that hill. There was a memorial plaque there. We used to drive past it every Thanksgiving on the way to Aunt Linda's house. Grandma would always look out the window and dab at her eyes. I thought she was remembering him with love. But it was guilt. 50 years of guilt. The police ruled it an accident, she continued. Faulty brakes. The car was old. It made sense. No one suspected anything. I played the devastated widow. And you know what, Margaret? She looked at me with intensity that made me shiver. I was devastated. Not because he was gone, but because I'd become someone capable of murder. Because I'd taken a life, even if it was to save 2 others. I finally found my voice. Did you ever regret it? She thought about that for a long moment. The machines beeped. Her breath rattled. I regret that it was necessary, she finally said. I regret that the world made me choose between being a victim and being a killer. But regret doing it? She shook her head. No. Your mother grew up safe. She got married, had you and your sisters. She lived a life without fear. That's worth everything. Tears were streaming down my face now. I didn't even know when I'd started crying. Why are you telling me this? Why now? Because I'm dying, sweetheart. Her voice was getting weaker again. And I can't take this to God without someone knowing the truth. I need one person to know that I'm not the saint everyone thinks I am. I'm just a woman who did what she had to do. She squeezed my hand one more time. And I need to know if you can forgive me. Forgive her? How do you forgive something like that? How do you reconcile the grandmother who taught you to bake cookies with the woman who sabotaged a car and let a man die? I stood there, frozen, my brain screaming at me to make sense of this. Was she a hero or a murderer? Was there even a difference? I don't know, I finally whispered. I don't know what to say. That's fair. She smiled, just a little. You don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know. Someone has to carry the truth after I'm gone. Someone has to decide what to do with it. That's when it hit me. She wasn't just confessing. She was passing the burden to me. Now I was the one who had to decide whether to protect her memory or reveal the truth. Whether to let my mother keep believing in the fairy tale or shatter it with reality. The weight of it crashed over me like a wave, and I actually staggered back from the bed. Grandma, you can't do this to me, I said, and I heard the anger in my voice for the first time. You can't just dump this on me and die. What am I supposed to do with this? Whatever you think is right. Her eyes were closing now. I trust you, Margaret. I always have. Before I could respond, the door opened. Aunt Linda walked in with 2 cups of coffee, her face brightening when she saw Grandma was awake. Oh good, you're talking. Did I miss anything important? She handed me a coffee, oblivious to the bomb that had just exploded in that room. I looked at Grandma. She looked at me. And in that moment, we had an understanding. Whatever happened next was my choice. No, I heard myself say. Nothing important. Just telling her I love her. Grandma closed her eyes with what looked like relief. Love you too, sweet girl, she whispered. She died 3 hours later. Aunt Linda and I were both there, each holding one of her hands. Mom made it just 10 minutes too late, and the sound of her sobbing still haunts me. At the funeral, there must have been 300 people. The church was packed. Everyone had a story about Saint Dorothy and her kindness, her generosity, her strength in the face of tragedy. The preacher talked about her devotion to her late husband, how she'd honored his memory for 5 decades. Mom gave a eulogy that had everyone in tears. My mother showed me what true love looks like, she said. Even death couldn't separate her from my father. She carried him in her heart every single day. I sat in the front pew, my sisters on either side of me, and I felt like I was going to explode. Every word was a lie. Every tribute was based on a fiction Grandma had maintained for half a century. And only I knew the truth. The weight of it was crushing. That night, after everyone had gone home and I was alone in my house, I sat at the kitchen table and thought about what to do. I could tell Mom. Sit her down and explain that her father wasn't who she thought he was. That her mother had been protecting her all these years. But what would that accomplish? Mom was 73 years old. Her health wasn't great. Finding out her father was abusive and her mother was his killer might actually destroy her. Or I could tell my sisters. Share the burden. But they'd want to tell their kids, and then their kids would tell someone else, and eventually the story would get out. Grandma's reputation would be destroyed. The family would be torn apart by the revelation. People would take sides. Some would defend her, others would condemn her. Everything would change. Or I could do what Grandma did. Keep the secret. Let her be remembered as a saint. Let Mom keep her beautiful memories. Take the truth to my own grave and never speak of it again. I won't lie to you. That first option was tempting. So tempting. I was angry. Angry that Grandma had put me in this position. Angry that I had to carry this alone. Angry that she got to die in peace while I was left with the burden. Part of me wanted to burn it all down. Tell everyone. Let them deal with it. But then I thought about Mom. About the way she smiled when she talked about her parents' love story. About how that story had shaped her own ideas about marriage and commitment. Yes, it was based on a lie. But it had given her comfort for 70 years. It had given her hope. And maybe that was worth something. I also thought about Grandma. About what she must have gone through. The fear. The bruises. The impossible choice between staying and becoming a killer. She'd been 26 years old when it happened. My age when I had my first daughter. I tried to imagine being in that position. Having a little girl to protect and a monster in your house. What would I have done? I wanted to believe I'd have left him. Run away. Called the police. But this was 1973. Domestic violence wasn't taken seriously. Women had fewer options. Fewer resources. Fewer rights. The police might have done nothing. A judge might have given him custody. She could have ended up with nothing and no one. Was what she did wrong? Legally, absolutely. Morally? I still don't know. I've thought about it every single day since she died, and I still don't have an answer. But I do know this, she lived 50 years with that guilt. She never forgot what she'd done. She carried it in silence, never asking for forgiveness, never making excuses. She took responsibility in the only way she could, by making sure her daughter never had to know the truth. And in the end, she trusted me to make the same choice. So I made it. I decided to keep the secret. Not because I think what she did was right or wrong, but because some truths are too heavy to share. Some lies protect more than they hurt. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let people keep their illusions. Does that make me a liar too? Probably. Does it make me complicit in covering up a crime? Maybe. But it also means Mom gets to keep her memories. My sisters get to keep their grandmother on a pedestal. The grandkids get to hear stories about Saint Dorothy without any shadows. And Grandma gets to rest in peace, knowing that her sacrifice wasn't revealed for nothing. I still visit her grave every week. I bring flowers. I sit on the bench nearby and talk to her like she can hear me. Sometimes I'm angry. Sometimes I'm sad. Sometimes I even laugh, remembering the good times. But mostly, I just tell her I understand. I understand why she did it. I understand why she told me. And I understand why she trusted me with the truth. Because the truth is complicated. It's messy. It doesn't fit into neat categories of right and wrong, good and evil, saint and sinner. Grandma was all of those things. She was a victim and a killer. She was loving and ruthless. She was honest and she was a liar. And somehow, she was still my grandmother. The woman who braided my hair and taught me to bake and showed me what strength really looks like. Last week, I was cleaning out some old boxes and found a photo album from the 60s. There was a picture of Grandma and Grandpa at a church picnic, probably a year before he died. She's smiling in the photo, but now that I know what to look for, I can see it. The smile doesn't reach her eyes. There's a tension in her shoulders. A wariness in the way she's positioned herself, slightly away from him. How did we all miss it? How did no one see? But that's the thing about secrets, isn't it? We only see what people want us to see. And Grandma was very, very good at showing us exactly what we needed to believe. I found something else in that box too. A letter, addressed to me, in Grandma's handwriting. It wasn't sealed, just folded. I opened it with shaking hands. My dearest Margaret, it read. If you're reading this, I'm gone, and you've made your choice about what to do with my confession. Whatever you decided, I want you to know I'm proud of you. Being the keeper of difficult truths is a burden I wouldn't wish on anyone, but if it had to be someone, I'm glad it's you. You're stronger than you know. You always have been. I hope you can understand why I did what I did. I hope you can see that sometimes love means making impossible choices. And I hope you can forgive an old woman who did her best with the hand she was dealt. I loved your mother more than life itself. I loved you too, sweet girl. Everything I did for family. That's all that matters in the end. Love, Grandma Dorothy. I cried for an hour after reading that. Not sad tears, exactly. More like release. Because she was right. Love is complicated. It makes us do things we never thought we were capable of. It makes us lie and sacrifice and carry unbearable weights. And sometimes, it makes us killers. I keep that letter in my nightstand now. On the hard days, when the weight of the secret feels too heavy, I read it again. It reminds me why I made the choice I did. It reminds me that I'm part of a long line of women who've done whatever it took to protect the people they love. My grandmother killed for her daughter. I'm lying for my mother. Maybe someday, someone will have to make a choice about me. That's how it works. We protect each other. We carry each other's burdens. We keep each other's secrets. And we do it because that's what family means. Not the fairy tale version we show the world. The real version. The complicated, messy, sometimes dark version that exists behind closed doors. Mom called me yesterday. She was looking through old photos and feeling nostalgic. I miss her so much, she said. I miss both of them. They had such a beautiful love story. I closed my eyes and made myself say it. Yes, Mom. They really did. And you know what? In a way, it was true. Maybe not the way she thought. But Grandma loved her enough to do anything to keep her safe. Even murder. Even 50 years of lying. Even putting the burden of truth on me. If that's not love, I don't know what is. So that's my story. That's the secret I'm carrying. My grandmother confessed to murder on her deathbed, and I chose to bury the truth with her. Do I think I made the right choice? I honestly don't know. Ask me tomorrow and I might give you a different answer. But I do know this, I'm the only one left who knows what really happened that day in 1973. I'm the only one who knows that that accident that shaped our family's history was actually something much darker and much more complicated. And I've decided that some truths are meant to stay buried. If you've ever carried a secret that heavy, you know what I'm talking about. If you've ever had to choose between honesty and protection, between truth and peace, you understand. It's not as simple as doing the right thing. Sometimes there is no right thing. Sometimes there's just the choice you can live with. This is the choice I can live with. Protecting my grandmother's memory. Protecting my mother's peace. Protecting the family from a truth that would tear it apart. Maybe that makes me weak. Maybe it makes me a coward. Or maybe it just makes me human. I'll never know if Grandma felt at peace when she died. I hope she did. I hope knowing that someone finally understood her burden gave her some comfort in those last hours. And I hope that wherever she is now, she knows I kept my word. I kept her secret. I let her be Saint Dorothy. Because in the end, maybe that's what she deserved. Not because she was perfect, but because she was brave enough to do the unthinkable to protect the person she loved most. And she was strong enough to carry the weight of it alone for 50 years. Now it's my turn to be strong. My turn to carry the weight. My turn to decide what truth is worth telling and what truth is better left in the grave. If you're still watching this, if you've stayed with me through this whole story, I want you to think about something. What would you do? If someone you loved confessed something terrible on their deathbed, would you honor their memory or expose the truth? Would you protect your family from painful knowledge or believe they deserve to know? There's no right answer. I've learned that. But I'd love to hear what you think. Write it in the comments. Tell me if you agree with my choice or if you think I'm wrong. Tell me about your own secrets, if you're brave enough. Because maybe that's what we all need. To know we're not alone in carrying these impossible burdens. And if you want to hear more stories like this, stories about real people facing impossible choices, subscribe to this channel. Because life is complicated. People are complicated. And the truth is never as simple as we want it to be. Thank you for listening. Thank you for not judging. Or if you are judging, thank you for at least hearing me out. Grandma Dorothy died 5 years ago, but I think about her every single day. And every single day, I make the choice again. To keep her secret. To protect her memory. To let her rest in peace. Maybe someday I'll tell the truth. Maybe on my own deathbed, I'll confess to someone else. Pass the burden on like she did to me. Or maybe I'll take it to my grave, and the secret will die with me. Either way, I know one thing for certain. I understand my grandmother now in a way I never could have before. I understand the weight of impossible choices. The burden of protective lies. The price of love. And I wouldn't trade that understanding for anything. Even if it means carrying this secret for the rest of my life. Because that's what she did for her daughter. And that's what I'll do for my mother. That's what family means. Not the pretty version we put on Facebook. The real version. The version where we sacrifice pieces of ourselves to keep each other whole. So rest in peace, Grandma Dorothy. Your secret is safe with me. And Mom, if you ever watch this, know that everything I've done because I love you. Just like Grandma did. Just like she taught me to. That's her real legacy. Not the lie about the perfect marriage. But the truth about what we're willing to do for the people we love. Even the unthinkable. Even murder. Even lying for 50 years. That's the story no one tells. But it's the truest story of all.